Welcome everyone to the penultimate round of the GP4 OC 2016 season. We're here for round 20, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the Yas Marina circuit, the third night race of the season. The circuit itself situated on a Yas island around 30 minutes away from the capital of the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi. Three teams winning here over the past 7 seasons. Ferrari winning 4 times. It's a good track for them. Mercedes winning twice and McLaren winning just the once. So last round, the Mexican Grand Prix was won by Will Neller, ensuring that he stays ahead of Mackenzie at the head of the championship. Previous winners here: Mackenzie winning here the last 2 years, Joseph Williams winning here for 3 years in a row, 2010 to 2012, Will Neller winning here once in 2009 I should say, and Weiskin winning here in 2013. 55 laps it will be around this circuit, circuit length of 5.554 kilometres, 21 corners. The lap record set by Jay Mackenzie back in 2014 at 145.8. The car's noticeably slower than in real life around the circuit, particularly because of that long back straight we have, and of course we've got 3 straights. There are plenty of overtaking spots on this track. The tyres we'll be using for this race will be the ultra soft tyres, and the driver of the day of course given to Will Neller for winning in Mexico last time out. So let's have a look at the starting grid for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And on the front row there is a Mercedes of course in pole position, that being Jay Mackenzie, with Joseph Williams alongside him in second. Third position is Amar Khan with Florian Volk alongside him in fourth. Fifth and sixth positions on the grid on row 3 is Rick Yan and Will Neller. Not the qualifying that Will Neller would have wanted, particularly as he's in the title fight with his teammate Mackenzie. Fourth row of the grid we have Franco Lopez and Roland Moitin. On the 5th row of the grid, 9th and 10th, we have Michael Mocho and Franco Gamba, the 2 Toro Rossos, qualifying by both cars. On the 6th row of the grid, 11th and 12th positions respectively, we have Gabriel Gomez and Miklos Gal, not the qualifying that Gal would have wanted either. On the 7th row of the grid, we have Evan Byrne in 13th and Bartis Kloss in 14th. Row 8, I should say, is Oliver Glazebrook and Etienne Jones from McLaren and Manor. On the 9th row of the grid, we have Yuri Marta, not the best qualifying for him, and for Roman Quark, not a good qualifying for him either. 18th position, quite a bit off the pace. Row 10, we have Roberto Gamba and David Greenwood for Sauber and for Renault. And on the final row of the grid, we have Nicolas Pascali and Tiravi Nautiranen for Renault. So there we are, that is the grid for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And the only news the GP4 this week is a big one. Felix Sonntag, after 4 seasons away I believe, will return to the top class with Sauber. And here is the championship criteria for Will Neller. If he wins, he needs Mackenzie to finish 7th to win the title, but he's got it all to do, Will Neller, so it will be difficult, particularly with Mackenzie on pole. Of course, no surprise here in Abu Dhabi, it will be a dry race, 0% chance of rain. But big news with Felix Sonntag coming back, so another returning driver to the OC. So congratulations to him. He had an okay season in DTM. But enough of that, as we have the lightning flashing across the track to signal the start of the race, as we now have 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5 lights with the old lighting system. And we are underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Who is going to get the jump into turn 1? It looks like Mackenzie has made the best start as they head towards turn 1. Willows, I think he might get overtaken by the Red Bull into turn 1. Will Carr go around the outside? And the answer is, I think he has, yes. So Carr takes second, Willows down to third, and he's got the Force India right there looking to make a move. Carr's into second, Willows in third. There's a Ferrari going around the outside. That's Volker going around the outside there into 5th position as the cars head towards the first chicane. And I think there was a bit of debris flying there, and Frank Gamma I think has lost his rear wing, and yes he has. He's been hit by Miklos Gal in the Red Bull. I thought I saw something fly off, and that's not good for the two, for Gal or for Franco Gamba, as the cars head through the chicane and heading onto the back straight for the first time. Let's have a look what happened there. So Gal was running behind Frank Gamba as they came through the first couple of corners, coming through the right-hander and then coming towards the chicane for the back straight, and then just unfortunate timing there between the two, as there goes the wing flying right across the track. Gutted for Franco Gamba as well. They had a good qualifying, and unfortunately it has he's going to struggle to get any points out of this race now, as the wing flies into the grass right there. It comes through the chicane. So there we go. So we're looking now at the field as we've got a Force India on the inside, so Willows being overtaken by Rick Yan, heading down into the hairpin. Has he made it stick? And the answer is, I think Willows, has he held it around the outside onto the inside? Nope, Yan has got through and he's up into P3, and Willows has now got Volker for company behind him. And he's going to have a terrible run off the corner. Volker's going to try and go around the outside onto the support pit straight. He's never going to make the move there. As we look through the other angle, will he make the move stick? And the answer is no. Willows defends as they head towards through the end of the second sector. And now into the third sector, coming through this little chicane, I guess you could call it. Will Neller down in 7th. He's not made a good start. He's actually dropped a position down to 7th. As we've got a yellow flag out on track. And that is what has happened. There's a car off. There's another car with damage as well. I think that was a Manor with damage. Tyranny now Tyranny has got damage as well. There's a couple of other cars I think I saw that had damage too. Now Tyranny, who was running in last position, so not what he would have wanted, as we're looking on board with him coming into the hairpin. And as he comes in, yep, he goes into the back of Pascali, who himself goes into the back of someone else. Now Tyranny was going in very late, but unfortunately Pascali moved out right in front of him at precisely the wrong time. And I don't know who Pascali went into in front of him. I'm not sure, but here we're on board with Yuri Marta heading into at the end of the support pit straight. He was trying to get past Jones in the manner, and he made contact with Jones, and that must have been the yellow flag, because he spins. And does he get hit by anyone? There's a Williams there who goes, and he does hit him, but I don't think he actually got damage, Marta. Well, he might have got damage on the side, but I don't think he didn't get any damage on the wing. And yep. And oh no, actually, neither did Quag actually, so they both got away without damage there. But chaotic start to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and here was Master trying to make him on the inside there, and it just didn't work. And Jones went wide onto the AstroTurf there, and rejoined the track right in front of. Oh my word, he nearly made contact with Glazebrook. They came right onto the track, right in front of Glazebrook there. Lucky to not have a collision there. So chaotic first lap, and here are the two Ferraris battling. Volker now on the inside of Willows, heading towards the hairpin at the end of the straight, and it's side by side, and I don't think Willows will put up much of a fight. It clearly seems that Volker's faster, and he's on the inside, and he moves up into P4. Willows goes very wide as well in the background. Now he's going to lose another position, possibly. He's going to lose a whole lot more than that. He's spun, and now he's going to drop right to the back of the field. I don't know if there was contact or not, but he's spun nonetheless. So Willow's dropping rapidly down the order. He's now down to 15th, 16th. He'll be down to probably, I think, P18, until he can rejoin. Drop down behind Marty. Yep, now 18th, and he rejoins there. So I don't know if he had contact, but he went very wide coming into the hairpin there, having been overtaken. So let's have a look again. So coming in, he tried to keep it around the outside. It was never going to work, and he went just way too wide. Did he have any contact, or did he go off himself? No, I think he went off himself. I don't think there was any contact there. So a mistake there by Willows, and that has ruined the start of his race. So now he's going to have to make a big recovery as he sadly watches all the cars going past him. Not the start that Willows would have wanted at all. So there we are. So Willows waits finally for Quad to go by, and now he rejoins. So he's now down in 18th position. So it's a good start for Volker as well, but not a good start for Willows. So let's have a look on board with Roland Moitin. So he was behind Will Neller, who actually gains a position himself. Coming through, and Moitin moves up into 7th, and he's on the back of Neller, who got a bad run out of the corner. So will Moitin go around the outside of Neller? And I think he might actually, will he? And he's side by side between the two. Moitin going to go past Will Neller possibly. He's around the outside, but Neller does have the inside line. So will he keep the position? And the answer is no. Moitin actually makes the move. Good pass there by the Hungarian driver. So it's unfortunately the start for Neller, it's not gone very well for him at all. Dropped down behind Moitin, and oh dear, it's not what he would have wanted. So he really needs to get up the order quickly, but he's dropping behind Moitin. I mean, there's a gap behind to Michael Mocho. Evan Byrne, who's actually made a good start for Haas as well in 9th. Gabriel Gomez up into the points in 10th, but as we can see, there's a battle behind actually, and that's Byrne trying to get past Mocho into the hairpin. Mocho really not letting him get through there. It's side by side, and I think Byrne has got it, has he? He goes a bit wide over the curb. Has he got it? I don't know. I think Mocho might get back, actually. It's still side by side between the two, so they come onto the support pit straight, and I think Byrne will have the inside line, but will Mocho have the run off the corner, because Byrne went wide over the curb. Byrne on the inside, and he does make it stick. He moves up into 8th position. Mocho trying immediately to get back, and actually Bartis Kloss has got past Gomez, and Jones trying to get past Gomez as well, and he has done it. So Gomez down to 12th there, so that must have also happened at the hairpin behind. So this was Kloss behind the Haas of Gomez, making a move on the inside, and he doesn't really defend. Well, he doesn't really defend. It's too late, and of course Jones takes that opportunity behind him as well. So Kloss has made a good start too, moving up into 10th position. So Looking at him on coming into the hairpin there. So he makes the move stick. So Gomez must have got a bad run out of the corner. And obviously with Jones behind as well. So he's in the slipstream. And he goes around the outside, does he? And yes, he does. So it seems people like to actually go around the outside. But of course, even though it's left-handed, if you hold it round there, there's not room for two cars coming through the chicane. So you can easily go around the outside there and make it stick, as long as you have the line. So he goes around the outside and has now the inside corner. You can't go too wide here, it's just not possible, otherwise one of you will be heading straight into the wall, whoever's on the outside coming into that corner. So here is Volker, who's now already caught it right behind the Force India of Rick Yan. He's now on the inside, heading towards the hairpin. Good race so far by Volker, and Yan doesn't really put up much of a defence. So Volker on the inside, and he'll take P3, thank you very much indeed. So now he's up into the podium positions. Been a good start by Volker. He's improved in the last few races. He hasn't had a great season compared to his teammate Willows, but he's performed well recently. As we're looking at the rest of the order, here's Greenwood now attacking Gomez, who's falling down the order rapidly, and he's got the two McLarens, I think, for company behind him as well. Just what Gomez wanted. Greenwood makes it up into 12th position, and now Gomez is under pressure from Oliver Glazebrook, and Glazebrook could be about to overtake him into the hairpin. He's going to go around the outside Glazebrook, coming in towards the chicane. Will this work? I don't know. And the answer is no, it doesn't. So Glazebrook stays behind, but Gomez is struggling at the moment. Mocho actually has got a lot of fuel, and Woolnella has got a lot of fuel, so it explains why he's struggling. He's got a lot of fuel in his car, so that's not good for him at all. Moichin has got a light fuel load, a fairly light fuel load. Woolnella has not. He's on the one stop. That's not going to work for him, particularly around, particularly on the ultra tyres around this circuit. So Mercedes have kind of stuffed him up here. They really have. So that's not what Nana is not what he would have wanted at all. Because he's just about keeping up with Moichin, but I suppose because Lopez is holding him up at the moment. So I mean, Nella just has to go round and avoid trouble really, and just try and preserve those tyres as much as he can. But it's not going to be a very enjoyable race. Certainly not with Mackenzie out front, that's for sure. And with Nella being so far down, as we look at Moichin, who's closing up to the back of Lopez. I think he'll be close enough to get in the slipstream on the back straight, but will he be close enough to make a move into the hairpin? I don't know. Mocho in 11th position, and I think he was actually passed for 9th. I forgot he actually was in the points, and this was Bartis Kloss, who was behind him, coming down the front straight, heading towards turn 1. And Kloss makes a move on the inside. Mocho tries to defend, and Mocho goes wide, and Kloss says, thank you very much, we'll take the position. And Jones obviously takes 10th position off him as well. But Mocho himself has got a heavier fuel load, even heavier than actually what Woolnella has. So Mocho really is going to be struggling. So it's not a good race so far for the Toro Rosso team. So Mocho goes wide and nearly comes on the track and takes out Kloss, and Jones says bye and takes 10th position off him there. So unfortunately for Mocho, he is going to struggle a lot as well. And oh my word, and that was, this is Moichin on the inside of Lopez into the hairpin, and they just about avoid contact. Moichin can't go around the outside there. So he has to wait once again, and he's now going to go around the outside onto the support pit straight. Nella is there in the background waiting to see if these guys trip up over each other. And Moichin goes around the outside, and he can't make it stick there, so he has to hold position. Nella is actually closing up back to them because they're holding each other up so much. This is David Greenwood, who's going past the Toro Rosso of Michael Mocho. And as you can see, Mocho he just can't defend Mocho because he's on a terrible fuel load. He's on a very heavy fuel load on tyres that will wear off pretty soon, and so he's really going to struggle. Greenwood moves up into 11th position. Now he's got Etienne Jones in front of him to get past. He's got quite a light fuel load, Greenwood, so I imagine he'll close up to him pretty quickly. Here is Moichin and Lopez once again battling. Will Moichin try and make a move into turn 1? The answer is no. Lopez defends to the inside, going to get him a bad run out of the corner. Nella is there in the background just waiting to see if these guys fall up over each other. Mocho's dropped down behind the two McLarens now, dropped down behind Glazebrook and Marta. Here's Roman Quag, who's been overtaken there by Roberto Gamba very easily, and by Gal as well. They both took him, and Quag has now gone into the back of Gal. Oh dear me. And that's a disaster for both Gal and for Quag. I don't know what Quag was thinking there, just went into the back of him. He could have easily slowed down more. And so they're both into the pits once again, and their races are pretty much effectively ruined. There's no chance they're going to get any points from this race now, because they've got to be at least a lap down almost by now. Etienne Jones, who was in the points in 10th, comes in for his first stop. So I imagine, is he going to do a 3? I mean, there was a couple laps spare fuel that he had in the car, so we'll see how much fuel that he does put into the car. So as he comes in, and no, that's not still there. It is comes in now. Let's see how much fuel they put into his car as they change all 4 tires. And 19, so could be a 3. We'll see. I mean, particularly with the ultra soft tires, if they're doing a 3, I think that's probably worth it because the fresher tires, particularly on a circuit like Abu Dhabi, definitely are useful. So Jones comes out of the pits, comes out down in I think down 17 or 18, I think. Pit exit is quite long because unfortunately, unlike in real life, they have to go right to where they're about to go under the track before they can actually get going. So it seems longer. The pit lane seems unbelievably long. So as we look at David Greenwood now coming in for his stop, pretty quick stop, 6.4, average for 16. So I reckon they're probably doing a 3 stop for Greenwood as well, because I'm pretty sure they put less in his car than they put in Jones's car. So yeah, I think Greenwood's definitely going for the 3 stop here. I think Jones probably is as well. But as Greenwood eventually comes now down under the circuit, a pretty unique pit exit here, the only one I think we've had of this type on the calendar. Greenwood now comes out of the pits and comes out in P12, comes out just ahead of Roberto. Oh my word, comes out, that was crucial for him. He actually comes out ahead of Jones as well, actually, which is big for him. Comes out ahead of Etienne Jones, who was battling with Roberto Gamba there, so that's crucial for Greenwood. He's actually jumped Jones in the stop there, thanks in part to being held up there. So Moitin still can't get past Lopez at the moment. He really is struggling to get through, but Greenwood stays ahead of Jones, who's not quite close enough to get past, coming down into the hairpin. So Greenwood now just has to try and get away as much as he can because he's got lighter fuel, so he needs to take advantage of this. Willows and Glazebrook battling for P15. Willows trying to recover up the order from what happened on the first couple of laps, where he spun on his own, having been overtaken by Volker. Moitin must be getting frustrated being held up by Lopez here. Volker actually in the meanwhile has actually closed up to the back of Armar Carr here, so Volker showing some great pace in the Ferrari. I mean, Mackenzie, you can just forget about him because he's so far in front. I don't know what the gap is actually, we haven't seen it in a while, but Volker right behind Carr coming onto the back straight, and Nella, who's actually now caught back up to Lopez because these guys have been holding each other up so much, even though Nella is on much heavier fuel load than probably both of these two combined. So Moitin actually did actually attempt to go past because Lopez went wide coming into the final corner there, or coming into the penultimate corner, and Moitin did actually get past. So I don't know what I was thinking there. I wasn't concentrating then. I forgot that Moitin had actually got past Lopez, but you can see he went a little bit too wide on the curb, Lopez, and then Moitin went on the inside into the final corner and made the move stick. So that's why, so that's Moitin, who's finally it's taken him about 15 laps, but he's actually got past. But now Lopez is under pressure from Will Nella, but of course Will Nella is on a heavier fuel load than he is, so I imagine he'll probably just get away pretty quickly. But for Will Nella, he's got Evan Byrne who's closed up to him, and Bartis Kloss is not that far away either. And Jones has caught up to the back of Greenwood, so unfortunately the Renault showing its terrible lack of speed. Jones on the inside heading towards the hairpin, and Volker, I just saw on the graphic there, has got past Carr for P2 as Jones gets past Greenwood for P12, for P11, sorry. Greenwood down to 12th, but as I just saw briefly on the graphic, he has got past, but although Carr actually has gone into the pits, so I guess that probably explains why Volker has got past. So Volker now up into P2, Carr coming in the pits, a 4.9 second stop. That was pretty quick. 25 laps of fuel, so it looks like, I think Carr is going to be doing the 2-stopper by the looks of it. So as Carr comes out of the pits, eventually, I mean, it seems like an absolute age when he comes out of the pits, and now eventually he will under the tunnel, and Bartis Kloss goes by him in 9th, so it looks like he'll come out in P9. Carr will come out in some clear air, which is important for him, particularly with Volker, who was right on his tail, so clearly those tyres had gone off for Carr. So he's on his own really, but he's got a few cars ahead of him though, although some of them will be pitting pretty soon. Volker obviously in P2, Lopez in P5, Will Nella in P6, and he's got a bad run of the corner, Lopez, so I think Nella could actually possibly overtake him here, coming into the hairpin. I think he's in the slipstream. Is he? No, he's actually not as close as I thought. It looked like he got a good run off the corner, but apparently not. So Nella stays behind Lopez, and Moitin is getting away. So Moitin showing some good pace. Williams, he's performed all right, I think I have to say, since his return to the OC, replacing Robert Ionescu earlier on in the season. And the Ferrari Willows there getting all out of shape round turn 1. As David Greenwood is in the pits, and he's lost his front wing. So what's happened to David Greenwood? So he was trying to get back past Jones. These two have been out of battle throughout the first quarter of the race. So Greenwood trying to make a move past Jones, coming in and just trying to go to the inside, and just a little bit of contact with the back of Jones's car there, lifts it off the floor, loses his front wing. That's very unfortunate for Greenwood, who is certainly trying to get some points in this race, and it doesn't look like he's going to get any now. It's been a terrible, terrible season for him. There's obviously a chance that he could lose his seat as well at the end of the season. That incident will be investigated. I don't really know. I'm not sure if you can really blame anyone for that. I think that was pretty just a racing incident, but we'll see what they have to say. So this is the McLaren of, I think this is Yuri Marta, trying to get past Willows into turn 1. I think this is what we just saw a minute ago, and there's no contact between the two, but Willows goes a bit wide, and whoa, slides around the corner there, does Willows, and slides onto the curb. He's lucky he didn't slide off and spin there, but that was a very weird spin there. Goes wide and then just loses control of the car. Good save, to be fair, but he loses the position out to Martin, now moves up into 15th. So it's just not been a good race for Willows so far, but a pretty disastrous one if anything. So there we go. And Roman Quag has received a 10-second time penalty for causing the incident with Miklos Gau. I'm not too surprised about that one. I think that's definitely a fair penalty. Actually, what Quag did is Mackenzie, the leader, comes out of the pits and he drops down behind Florian Volker, who takes the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I bet he's enjoying it while it lasts, because he's not led. I can't remember the last time he's led this season. I don't know if he has led this season, but anyway, Mackenzie comes out of the pits in P2, comes out ahead of Rick Yanis just across the line. Roland Moitian has now come in for his his first stop of the race, I should say. Nella dropping a little bit behind Lopez once again. Byrne, who himself actually has not got by Nella either. So I mean, Nella's doing okay, I guess you could say, on those tyres, but still, he definitely would have preferred a two-stop strategy to this. Moitian comes in, and he'll definitely be doing a two-stopper. Bartis Kloss has come in as well. Moitin's actually had to wait for Kloss to go by there. That's held him up a little bit, so that could cost him. Well, possibly, depending on if Moitin comes out in traffic or not, and obviously depending on how how Lopez does on the track. So we'll see. Because I mean, Nella can only get close to him unless Lopez is in a battle. That's how Nella can get close to him, because he can't get closer than that, because unfortunately his tyres are not in a good state. Bartis Kloss now comes out of the pits from the points, and he's going to come out down in 11th place behind Etienne Jones. He's going to come out, I think, ahead of Glazebrook, who's, I imagine, just coming around the first corner about now, I'd say. Kloss will come out ahead. Now Lopez comes into the pits, so I would imagine Moitin would come out ahead of him unless Lopez has actually got himself together and done some good laps. But we shall see as Lopez comes into the pits for his first stop. It will be a two-stop, I would think, and yes, it is. So where is Moitin? I said I'd be surprised if Lopez does come out ahead. I imagine Moitin will extend his gap to Lopez once he comes out. So as he comes out, as we probably make a cup of tea or a coffee by the time he comes out the exit of the pits. So Moitin has just come across the line, so he is going to come out ahead, and there we go. So Moitin's gap will be even more, I think, than what it was before. So good work there by Williams, and unfortunately for Lopez, not had the pace in the car, and I think he might come out behind Etienne Jones here, which would be impactful for his race. And no, he doesn't. Actually comes out ahead of Jones, who's just coming round first few corners. There's Mocho still running that one-stopper in the points at the moment, but he's really struggling, as here is Etienne Jones passing Mocho for P9, coming down the straight. I mean, Mocho, no point in defending, because he can't really. He's on a pretty terrible strategy at the moment. So as we go to the left-hander, and there we go. Easy move there for Jones, and now he's up into the points in 9th position. He's having a good race, Jones. as we're looking, and oh, there's a Haas, and that must be Evan Byrne, I think, whose engine is blown, and it's unfortunate. He was having a good race as well, and there we are. That's his race over. I think that might actually be the first retirement of the race, I believe. And yes, it is actually. We've gone 20 laps actually, and only now we have the first retirement. Unfortunately for Evan Byrne, who's having a very encouraging race, and unfortunately he is going to get precisely zilch out of this one. He's going to have to put off the car somewhere, because he's never going to get... Well, he can't repair that with the engine blown. As he comes now down towards the hotel, which they go under, another unique part of the circuit. So as Byrne comes around the corner, I mean, he could try and make it back into the pits, but there's no point in repairing that. So Byrne comes round, and when is he going to pull off? There's no point in him continuing. Going to go past the pits, I would think, which he does. So I think he's going to park the car on the pit straight by the looks of it. It's amazing he's still going on actually for that long, really, with the engine blown. And surely the team has told him just to pull off, as he now comes across the line to complete another lap. He's in P6, but Moyton will pass him for that position soon. He's still going actually. Fair play to Byrne. I mean, we'll see, but he's going to pull off. So he comes around the first few corners, still going at a fair amount of speed. Eventually the car is going to shut off, but I mean, he doesn't want to stop, but unfortunately this is not the end of the race, so there's no way he's going to get anything out of it. So as he's now coming on to the back... Oh no, he's not coming onto the back straight, as he finally does pull his car off, and that is his race over. Unfortunate there for Byrne, but that's the way it is, sadly. The engine is blown, so that's his race over. So Moyton now has gone past, Lopez gone past as well. It was purely an engine failure for Byrne, the reason why he retired from the race. So as we look at him coming, so he was running in P5 actually, he had car behind him, and he's actually dropped a bit off Nella actually, because he was closer behind to him than before, but then there goes the engine. So he almost went an entire lap with the engine which had blown. So I mean, fair play to him, but it was all for nothing. Unfortunately, his car now goes round the outside of him there. But he had dropped off the pace a bit, as Volker now comes in for his first stop of the race. Volker has had a very encouraging start to the race. Mackenzie taking the lead back. And what's the gap to Jan? 23.8 seconds. So I don't know if Jan's actually pitted or not. But Volker comes in anyway. So that's a fuel, so that'll be a two-stopper, of course. So Volker comes out of the pits. And the instant between David Greenwood and Etienne Jones, no further action. Not really surprised there. I think that would have been pretty harsh if either driver had got a penalty for that. I think that was definitely a racing incident. So Volker now comes out of the pits. He's going to come out, I think, in P3, because Jan has just gone across the line. And yes, he will. So Volker will come out in P3. So it's been a good race so far for Volker. And, well, crucially, I think he'll come out ahead of Armand Carr, who's behind Will Nella, which will be important for him. So Volker does come out in P3, and Nella just coming around the corner there, so there's Carr. So Volker's got a comfortable gap to Carr, which is exactly what he needs. So it looks like it could be a P2 for Volker, or as I say that, he goes wide there, coming through the corner on cold tyres. So he needs to just be careful there, Volker, because he's got the gap, and he can't make mistakes like that to let him get back in it, Carr. So it just goes a bit wide there. I think we saw an incident a few years ago. I think rope went off, and we've seen cars crash into that wall before. It's an unusual place to crash, but we've seen people do it. So Volker still keeps P2, but he has to be careful, because he'll get P2 once he gets past Rick Jan. He's on the inside of him, heading towards the hairpin, and Jan will not bother putting up a defence. And Volker's on the inside and takes P2. So now he's got those tyres going as Jan goes very wide. Going through the corner there. Now Tiernan is right behind him as Jan goes off onto the curb. And now Tiernan unlaps himself down in 21st position. So there we are. So Jan needs to be careful there. He just needed to let Volker go, but he went wide going through the corner there. He nearly did what Willers did earlier on in the race by going over the curb and spinning, but fortunately he kept control of the car. And now Tiernan just goes past him there, but he's a lap down. He's last actually now, Tiernan, which unfortunately for him kind of sums up Renault's season, because they have been last all season. Here is Bartis Kloss, who is running in 8th position, coming past the support pits. Everything seems to be okay with him until then. So he's got a technical failure, and will Kloss get back to the pits? Because let's hope he does, because he's had a pretty good race so far, has Kloss. And I mean, it's very rare that Sauber have scored points this season. They haven't scored points at very many races, but Kloss himself has had a good race, probably his best race of the season. And he's got a mechanical failure. Will he get back to the pits? And the answer is yes, he does. So 4.7 seconds. So he won't. He's not fueled to the end, which is not really a surprise. So make one more stop before the end. But still, it's not what Kloss would have wanted, considering the fact he's had a good race so far. But compared to the others later on, he'll be pitting. So I think Kloss can still be in with a shout of points here, as Gomez has just come across the line. So will he come in ahead of the Brazilian driver as he comes out of the pit exit? And I think that was Gomez just going past there on the screen. Etienne Jones coming in for another stop. 11 seconds. And Glazebrook now coming in as well. It's 5.4, 19. So obviously he'll be pitting one more time before the end. So not been a good race for the McLarens either, as Glazebrook comes out of the pit exit. So it's been, I mean, it was surprisingly, we've actually only had one retirement from this race so far. We still have 21 cars racing, so who knows where people are going to finish and what is going to happen before the end here. We're pretty much almost at the halfway point of this race. And so half the race gone, only one retirement, which is quite unusual. Here is Roberto Gamma with Willows, Greenwood and Jones all behind here, although Greenwood is going to be pitting this lap anyway. Let's see if anything happens there. There is Mocho running in 8th, but he's got Yuri Mata behind him for company as well. Nella's still trundling along in 4th position at this moment in time. As we're looking at this battle, does Willows go on the inside? As Greenwood and Jones are battling once again? They've been battling pretty much the whole race, and it continues as Jones goes around the outside, now on the inside of Greenwood, and doesn't make it stick. And then, what's happened? Oh my word. And Greenwood just shot off into the barriers there. I don't know if he hit something, but oh my word, that was quite a shock there. But David Greenwood is out of the race. So what on earth happened there? I don't know if he hit debris, but then the car just suddenly went off into the barrier. Oh my goodness. So that is the second retirement now of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that was quite a spectacular incident as well. So we'll need to have a replay of that. So now that is the second retirement of the race at the halfway point, as Greenwood's car still continues to trundle along and now eventually stops as Nicholas Gow is in the pits for Red Bull. So I need to have a look to see what happened there for Greenwood. I think something must have snapped off the car, because it was just weird how the car just went off suddenly into the wall, as Willis is still battling with Roberto Gamba there as Nicholas Gow comes out, and he'll come up behind this big gaggle of cars. So that was quite an accident there. So Greenwood defending from Jones. They've been battling with each other the whole race, and they came at it once again. And Greenwood just came through the corner, and he came through, went on the curb, and hang on a second. I think there was another car off there, and yes, there was another car off to the side of the circuit, and so that explains it. And it was Gabriel Gomez in the Haas who had a mechanical failure, who pulls off to the side of the circuit. And then the wheel bounces off the barrier right in the wrong place and the wrong time Greenwood was there. The wheel bounces the ball right into the path of Greenwood there. So that is now three retirements in the race, 2 on the same lap. As Rick Yan now comes into the pits for Force India. So he comes out of his pit stall, 5.5 seconds, 5.5 seconds, 13 laps. So that is so he's going to the end. Ricciardo. So he's going to the end of the race on these tyres. I don't see how that's going to work out really, but we'll see if it does or not. But I don't think it will, because there's so many laps to go, and particularly on the ultra soft, on a long stint, it's clearly not going to work. And I mean, most drivers are going to be pitting before the end, so I'll be interested to see how that does work out, or if it works out for him. I don't think it will, but you never know. Willow's still stuck behind Roberto Gamma, and he's got Jones behind the company as well on fresher tyres. Willows, will he make the move into the hairpin? Gamma dives to the inside. Willows now dives to the inside himself, and I thought Gamma was going to move back on him there, but Willows does make it stick up into P11, but there's a big gap to Bartis Kloss in front of him, and now Jones is behind Roberto Gamma. There's Glazebrook, and there's Gow in this as well, as Qual goes wide over the curbs. He's really struggling in this race. There's now he's battling with Franco Gamma, but he's got the Ferrari there of Volker, who's now going to be trying to lap all these guys. So this is exactly what Volker doesn't want, as Roberto Gamma defending from Jones there. He can't make it stick, but now he's going to invite pressure from Glazebrook and Gow and Franco Gamma as well. A big battle for, well, big battle in the mid-pack. This is outside of the points, so it really doesn't matter. Now Marta's coming in. I think he's going to come out in this battle as well. So this could get very messy pretty soon if they're not careful. As Martin now comes in for his stop, will he go to the end? Is going to be the next question. The answer is no, he doesn't. So he, I suppose, he chooses, I would say, the sensible option, and will pit once more before the end. So he comes out behind Kloss. Will he come up behind Willows? Yes, he will. Roberto Gamma's actually going into the pit, so he's going to get himself out of this. So Mars is going to come out, I think, around about where Gal and Glazebrook are. So I think he'll want to come out ahead of Glazebrook and Gal would be the best at least, because then he'll probably catch up to Willows and overtake him. So Mars comes out. He's dropped down behind Jones, and note Glazebrook and Gal have passed him, so that's not what Marta wanted at all. So he's now going to have to battle with those two to gain positions. Rotogamma comes in, and he will go to the end of the race. Almost 30 laps of fuel, but yeah, it will be enough for him to go to the end. So as Gal comes out of the pits, and there's Armour Corring on his own in 4th, Morton in 5th, Lopez and Yan, the two Force Indias battling each other. Lopez will need to let Yan through because, well, he's on fresher tyres. So it would be obvious as they come through the final couple of corners. But this is GP4 OC, and so nothing is... it's just unpredictable, the OC, as we all know. As the two Force Indians come onto the straight, Yan behind Lopez. Lopez moves to the left, and they're all moving around there. Not what I think Yan would like. So as we look at him coming through the through turn 1, now through turn 2, through the right hander of turn 3, now heading towards the chicane 4-5, and then the hairpin 6. As we look, as Gallows actually got past Glazebrook on the graphic below there, and so yeah, and he can't make a stick here, so he'll obviously go past on the back straight, which is one of the main overtaking spots on this track. Although he might actually overtake it beforehand, because I think he went a little bit wide there, did Lopez, and I think Yan has got past as the cars eventually go over the hill, and yes, he has. So Yan now moves up into P6. You see what's going to happen. There wasn't any contact, was there? Almost, but enough for Yan to make it through up into P6. Good work there by the Chinese driver. Moves ahead of the Argentinian, so that's a good move there. Now this is the battle for... This is basically the battle, I think, for the points. Well, for 11th position, as a matter of fact. Jones is behind Willows. Gal behind Jones. And I bet Jones was not expecting to have a Ferrari and a... in between a Ferrari and a Red Bull. Jones on the inside. He makes it stick, does he? Gal is now going to go around the outside of Willows as well. He makes it past. Great move. And this is the battle for the last point spot, as now he moves up into 10th place. Does Etienne Jones, but now here is Florian Volker, who's now coming right into the thick of this battle. He's now lapping him. Is now Gal and Willows are battling each other for 11th, and they can't make a stick through there. But now, of course, Volker is here, so Willows is going to have the humiliation of being lapped by his own teammate here, as Jones now can scutter away as quickly as he can, or as long as Gal doesn't get too close to him. But he will hope that Volker can get past the guys behind him quickly. But Volker's stuck there at the moment. So Gal will probably look to try and overtake Jones either into the first corner or possibly on the back straight. I don't know if I want to wait that long. Gal right behind Jones, who is obviously not the quicker car compared to Gal. Gal's right behind him heading towards the final corner, so I think he'll try and make a move into turn 1. I don't think he'll wait for the back straight. He's right behind him. He's going to be in the slipstream, so surely Gal will make a move into the first corner. And oh, we've got an engine that's blown in the background there, and that is Yuri Marta's engine who is blown, just coming onto the front straight right there. And I think Volker has finally got past. He's got past Glazebrook as well. Now he's going to lap his teammate, and Franco Gamma is going to have a face full of smoke, which is exactly what he would like here in Abu Dhabi, particularly when it's so hot, even at night. Now Franco Gamma goes around the outside and passes the smoky McLaren. Anyone want to barbecue anyone? As Martin now finally pulls off the circuit. So that is another retirement. That's, I think, the 4th retirement of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I just saw that in the background as this battle was ensuing. So that's one car out of the battle and out of the race. So there we go. That's that. So we'll have to go back and see that battle. I wonder if Gal's actually got past Jones on the back straight. I don't think he got past into turn 1. But Marta, who was behind, this was behind actually Florian Volker, who'd actually lapped him, heading towards the final, or the third sector, heading through the hotel, heading under the hotel right now, which he does so. So, and then it comes through, and actually, yeah, the engine problem actually had already occurred just coming through there. And I think the engine must have blown or just before coming onto the straight, because he had the pits right there, so it must have already gone. So, Willows is in the pits, and Nella is finally in the pits for his first and will be his only stop of the race. So let's have a look and see what happens here. So Nella comes in, and where will he come out on track? We'll see. Makes a pit stop. We'll go to the end, of course. Car will come out ahead of him, 6.6, not particularly quick. 25 laps, that's enough. So car will go past him and will take third, which he does. Will he come out ahead of Roland Moichin in the Williams? I'm not sure. I don't know how far behind Moichin he was, so as Nella eventually comes around, so no, Moichin has just come across the line, so Moichin will get out in front as Nella comes out of the pit. So come out in P... Oh, it comes out behind Rick Yan as well, actually, so come out in P6, so he'll get past Yan, and of course he'll be going to the end, Nella, so he'll have certainly a top 5 from this race, but it's not what he wanted. He would have ideally would have wanted to be winning this ahead of his teammate. That would have been a lot better. But well, it looks fair at the moment. The title will be going to the final round in Brazil at Interlagos, which is good because we always like to see the title done at the final round because it just makes it more dramatic. As we look at Yan, who's all over the back of Roland Moichin here. Battle for P4. Yan on the inside, who of course is going to the end. Moichin just needs to let him go. No point in battling him really, and so he gets past into P4. So Moichin now drops behind him, but of course Nella will be on his tail very, very quickly, and he's just about there. He's in his mirrors. As we look at the order, I think Franco Gamma's dropped down into P14. I don't know if he's got a problem or not. Volker actually is pitting this lap, and he actually hasn't. He's not got a problem. I don't think Volker. Oh no, he has. He's lost his rear wing. So Florian Volker actually has to go into the pits this lap. And there's a McLaren, I think, behind that is Glazebrook. And has he hit? I think he must have hit Volker there. So Volker comes into the pits. So what's happened here? We need to have a look at the replay here. So Volker comes in losing his rear wing. Glazebrook who's losing part of his front wing. So a bit unnecessary, but I suppose Volker can just go to the end from here. A bit earlier than he probably wanted to, but is what it is. So and Franco Gamma actually is the one changing his front wing. So Glazebrook, was he involved or not? I don't know. There's so many questions that we need to find out the answer to. So Glazebrook now comes out and he doesn't actually go to the end, surprisingly enough. So let's have a look. This was Glazebrook who was on the back of Florian Volker. And yeah, so Glazebrook was the one who went into Volker coming into the chicane there. Don't know what he was doing. And so Volker actually went through pretty much almost a whole lap. And that is why Frank again went into the pits, because then he went into the back of Oliver Glazebrook, so that explains everything. So, oh dear, what? And as you see, I mean, he probably didn't realise that Glazebrook had lost his front wing, so a bit unfortunate there, but obviously Frank again got past Glazebrook, and of course there's Quag behind, and there is, oh wow, and he holds up Quag, and I think now Tiranen might have just squeezed past there as well, thanks to that. So Quag will be pretty annoyed, to say the least. His race has been utterly terrible. There's no other way of putting it. Now here is Nella, who's on the back of Moichin. Get past Moichin ASAP, as Moichin gets a bit of a bad run coming out of the hairpin there onto the back straight. And I think, is Nella on the inside? The answer is no. He's right behind him in the slipstream though, so he'll surely make the move into the hairpin. As he's now, as you know, he's now trying to go around the outside. Nope, he's swapping to the inside. Moichin doesn't bother defending, and Nella makes the move into 4th position. So now he's got Rick Yan just ahead of him, who he will be battling with. This is a battle for position, so this is important for him. As here is Volker, who's now come out in 6th place. Of course, he'll be going to the end. He's now behind the Williams of Moichin, although he's now on the inside of him, heading down the back straight. And he's now actually got the Toro Rosso trying to unlap himself here. This is not what Volker needed. If this is Franco Gamba again, then he's not going to be pleased, but he doesn't actually go on the inside, fortunately. So Volker makes the move into, or no, does he? He's gone a little bit wide. He's going to go around the outside. So we know he still doesn't make it stick. So he's going to have to wait. This is not what Volker wanted. He was set on for comfortable P2, but right now it's not going that way. as we look at Volker now. He's got the Toro Rosso behind him, but of course the Toro Rosso of Ricciardo's off. Ricciardo is off, and he's lost, I think, his rear wheel. And where is that on the circuit? That is at the that's at the support pit straight, and that is Ricciardo's race over. And I think Woolnella was behind him, so did Woolnella have something to do with this? I have a feeling he may have done. So we need to see a replay, please. So here we go. This is Woolnella on the back of Ricciardo, coming towards the pit, coming towards the left-hander at the end of the pit straight. And oh, Nella just goes into the back of him. Nella just goes into the back of him there. And oh my word, that's not good for the championship for Woolnella. It's not going well for him this race. He just needed to get past Jan. He could have waited, but he tried to make a move on the inside. I don't think it was really on. I really don't think it was on there for Nella. And unfortunately, now he's Jan is going to get nothing. And what is Nella going to get? Because he could get a penalty for that. And of course, that was crucial because, of course, Nella, if he got past Jan, he would have been on the podium, and that would have mitigated the loss he had to Jay McKenzie a little bit. But unfortunately, he's going to have to pit one more time. He'll of course go to the end. I don't think they'll bother adding any more fuel for him. Well, actually, they might add a touch more fuel. Actually, don't know. We'll see. But he pits for a new front wing and fresher tyres. So, and no, they don't add any fuel onto his car at all. No surprise there. So Nella comes in, changes all 4 tyres, changes the front wing, and he comes out of the pits. So where is he going to come out on track? So he's going to come out, looks like, down in P6. I don't know where. Mocho, I think, despite his terrible strategy, is somehow still running in P7. I don't know if he's actually made a stop yet. I can't even remember if he has or not. But somehow he stayed in the points despite that horrendous strategy, and he was on definitely the heaviest fuel out of absolutely everyone. So as Barty's Cross has actually gone past him into P7, so I guess Mocho might have pitted in that case. I don't know. And yes, he has. So it looks like that was definitely Mocho's first and only stop of the race. And my word, how he went on for so long is, well, it baffles me really. But he changes all 4 tyres, and of course he'll be going to the end. So where will he come out on track? I don't know if that strategy would have helped him, though. I don't think it really has particularly. But Mocho comes down the pit exit. He drops down to 10th position, drops down behind Etienne Jones, who's still in the points at the moment. Now Tiernan, who was nowhere really about 10 or so laps ago, but he's now up into 11th, so he's actually gained a few positions from this. He's just come across the line, but he won't come out ahead of Mocho, although it'll be fairly close. Mocho comes out in 10th position, so he still comes in the points, and it looks like it's going to be a good points position for the Toro Rosso driver. So Carr right now is running in P2, but he's pitting this lap. So and Volker's actually only 8.6 seconds behind, so Volker will come out still ahead, despite that. Despite the incident that Volker had. So it fortunately hasn't affected him as much as Carr probably would have hoped. So as Carr comes into the pits for his final stop of the race, he'll come up behind Volker, and Volker actually already going past. So I don't think Carr is going to be able to close up to close up to the back of it, I should say. Well, he's going to have to pass Moishin on track as well. But I don't think he's ever going to. I don't think he's going to get to Volker unless Volker's tyres rapidly fall off the cliff. Lopez comes into the pits as well for his final stop of the race. So that will allow Nella to go by into P5. So Nella will have a P5 at the moment, which I think, well, he won't be happy with it though, because Mackenzie's winning. So I mean, I suppose any way you put it, you won't be happy. So Lopez now comes out in P6. So he'll come out in the top 6. Barty's Kloss way behind at 7th. But I think Kloss actually himself has to pit one more time for the end. I think Kloss would have been probably about 7th had he not had that mechanical problem he had earlier on in the race. So he's had a good race as Barty's Kloss, and he actually has come across the line. So will Kloss actually come out ahead of Franco Lopez? I'm not sure. But as we look now at Roland Moitian, who comes into the pits, as Oliver Glazberg has received a 10-second time penalty for causing the incident with Florian Volker, which I think is a fair penalty after what he did. So Moitian now changes all 4 tyres, and he's going to come out. He's behind Carr. He'll be behind Lopez as well. So there we are. So at the moment, Woolnella is running in 3rd position, which he'll be pretty happy with. As I said, I use the word happy very loosely. As Mackenzie, actually the leader of the race, now comes in for his final stop of the Grand Prix. and he's been unassailable at the top. He's dominated this race once again. I mean, I think Mercedes have won the last, I think it's what, 6 or 7 races, I think. They've been utterly dominant, Mercedes, like in real life, of course. Frankie Gamble receiving a 10-second time penalty for causing an incident with Oliver Glazebrook as well. So penalties galore, probably the most we've had. I think that's what, the third one I think we've had. We've had a few in this race. As Mackenzie now comes out of the pits and will, of course, retain the lead of this race. And again, it's just been utterly dominant. There's really no other way of putting it. As he now comes out on lap 43 in P1. So there we go. I don't know where Volker is actually on track. I imagine he's probably only just coming around the final corner by now, I would say. As Mackenzie comes around the chicane. Just 12 laps to go of this race. And Nello at the moment, yes, is running in P3. He's 21 seconds off Volker, who was about a minute behind. So, my word, the gap was pretty big. So, as we look at the rest of the order, there's Kloss in 7th, Gal in 8th, Jones is in 9th, Mocho in 10th. But, of course, he's right behind Jones, but he'll pass it pretty soon because he's on much fresher tyres. So, I mean, I guess you could say that one stop probably might still work out, possibly, for Mocho. As we look at Mackenzie coming through onto the support pit straight at the moment. On lap 43 of the race, there is Michael Mocho, who actually has now got past Etienne Jones, although Jones is pitting this lap as I say that. But still, that's a good overtake from Mocho. Moving up into 9th position. I imagine a couple of the guys in front of him do have to pit, I would think. So you look at Mocho coming onto the straight. Jones didn't get a bad run off the corner, but Mocho on fresher tyres in the slipstream was going to be a very, very easy move. You can see going up into 7th gear, over 300 kilometers an hour, over 200 miles an hour, as now Mocho goes onto the inside into the hairpin. Very easy move. Jones obviously not bothering to put up a fight for good reason. And Mocho moves up into 9th position. What's the gap ahead? 12.5 seconds to Gal. I don't know if Gal has to pit again or not, but it will be a bit of a tough ask if he does. If Gal doesn't have to pit for Mocho to close up, but I think it could be possible. Jones comes into the pits for his final stop of the race, so that means that now Tiernan will temporarily take 10th spot, but I believe he has to pit before the end as well. So unfortunately for now, Tiernan, more points on the cars isn't going to happen, sadly, as Jones changes all 4 tyres, enough fuel to go to the end. So Willow's actually still outside the points as well. So unfortunately for Willow's, it's not been his race either, as Jones now comes out of the pits, and he'll come out in 12th position. Actually comes up behind Joseph Willow's, but I don't know if Willow's actually has to pit or not again. But he'll come out in 12th, Jones. So it's been a good race for Jones, I would say. He's put up a fight with some of the big guns, I guess you could say. Mingles Gal actually does have to pit, so that will allow Mocho to go by. And oh, look at that! Woolnella receiving a 25-second time penalty for causing the incident with car 56 Rick Yan. Now that is going to have big implications on the championship and the order of this race. So at the moment, Nella is in 3rd, but he needs a 25-second gap to ensure that he still has 3rd, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't have that. So we need to have a look at what the gap is between, well, 4th and 5th, really. As Tiernan comes in for his final stop of the race for Renault. So I'm bursting to see the order here. I really want to see it, because I want to see what the gap is, because I don't think Nella's got 25 seconds, and of course it goes to the top 6. We can't see, so I have to wait until it goes round next time. So now Tiernan comes in for his final stop. I don't have enough fuel to go to the end, of course. So, and of course it'll be interesting to see, because obviously in the next round in Brazil, it will be decided if he will stay at Renault or if he doesn't have a seat for next season, because obviously either he or David Greenwood will be staying, or possibly even they might not be. I don't know. We shall see. There's still, with Santo, the only driver being announced this race, there's still, I think, three spots up for grabs, as well as is battling with Jones here. This is for the last points position on the order. So Jones, obviously, who's made his last stop on fresher tyres. I don't know if Willows has to pit or not, but Jones is trying to get past a Ferrari here for the last points position. I bet he was not expecting to do that at the start of this race. And now Jones is right behind Willows, and he's already on the inside. The fresh tyres really showing their worth. Jones on the inside of Willows, heading towards the hairpin. He's on the inside, and surely he's going to have this move done and dusted. And the answer is yes, he is. And actually, there's Nello. So what's the gap? It's only 9 seconds, and it's about 20 seconds to Lopez in front. So the moment, and I think even Moyton, so Nello at the moment, I think would finish about P6, I would think. But Crucially, he doesn't have to pit again before the end. I don't think any of them do, but so he's just got to try and go as hard as he can and just see if he has enough of a gap to finish. Well, possibly. I think he could have a chance of getting 5th, but I don't know about 4th or 3rd, or staying 3rd anyway, I should say. But we shall see. Obviously, Jones now passing Willows for 10th position. There's Volker in P2, there's Gal in P9, and actually Bartis Kloss does pit once more before the end. So Mocho, despite that terrible one-stop strategy, actually looks set to possibly get P7 out of this race. So Kloss now comes out of the pits, and he's actually going to come up behind Mikolos Gal, I think. As Kloss comes out, and yes, he does. He comes out behind Gal in P9, but for Kloss, it's been a very encouraging race, probably one of his better performances this season. And we haven't seen that many of them, but Gal, I think, will be going to the end. So it will be a battle between those two. But the question is, will they both catch up to Mocho? Because, of course, he doesn't have to go to the end, but he's been on warm tyres. Now, here is now Tyrrell battling with Quag for P12. For Quag, it's just been a terrible race for him. As we look at now Tyrrell trying to get past Quag here, coming through first corner. He can't do it there. Coming through turns 2 and 3. He's going to have to wait until the back straight as Oliver Glazerick comes in for one more stop for McLaren. As now Tiernan comes through the hairpin there into the back straight, comes through the chicane into the hairpin. He's now going to take the position off in there. He's now on the inside, and he's got it done already because Quag got a terrible run off the corner, but now Quag actually could get back at now Tiernan. He's going to swap to the inside, and so Quag could take 12th back almost immediately. As we look at him coming on the inside, and yep, he's going to take 12th position back just as easy as that. So there is his teammate Moitin in the background, who could be lapping him, which would be again pretty humiliating for the French driver. As there's Warnella in 3rd, but it won't be 3rd at the end of the race by the looks of it. Moitin, who I think has actually got past. Has he got past Moitin? I'm not sure, but I don't know if he no, he hasn't, has he? Because Moitin was ahead of Lopez, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure. I can't honestly remember, to be honest, but Kloss is actually definitely closing up to Gal in 8th, that is for sure, so we could see a battle on there. Volker has just lapped the manner of Jones, so I'm pretty sure Moitin actually has passed Lopez, isn't he? I think he has, because I'm pretty sure Lopez was in front, so that could be good for Woolnella, if that means that Lopez is going slower. And yes, I was right, Moitin did get past Lopez, as we're looking at the overtake, heading down the back straight, and Moitin just on the fresher tyres in the slipstream on the inside of Franco Lopez, coming into the hairpin, and he makes it stick just like that. Pretty easy for Moitin, making it through there. So he's now up into P5. That's big for Woolnella. That means, I reckon he's probably got enough for 5th, I would say, Nella. That's for sure. But will he have enough for 4th and maybe even to retain 3rd? I don't know. Now this is the battle that I was thinking would happen. So now Gal has caught up to the back of Mocho, and he might already be past him, I think, has he? And yes, he has. He's already passed Mocho for P7 onto the straight. So Mocho, I did say I thought the one-stop strategy had worked, and it has worked to an effect, but unfortunately with Gal being on fresher tyres, and I think Kloss could definitely close up as well, because he's on fresher tyres too, so I think Mocho could lose another position before the end if he's not careful. So he's going to have to defend with all his might, that is for sure. And I think as we're looking at the cars coming over the hill, and this is it. So this is Kloss now right behind Mocho, surely going to make a move into the hairpin. Will Mocho defend? And I don't know if he will, because he's not going to have the tyres. Kloss is on the inside, and I think Kloss is set to take P8 off him. And yes, he does. He's on the inside, yep. And Kloss takes P8 off of Michael Mocho. He put up a valiant effort, Mocho, but it looks like he'll still get P9, so he'll still get some points out of this race, but it definitely could have been more. But that's just the way it is. So now this is now Tyrrell, who's actually closed up to the back of Willows here, and so Willows could be overtaken by the Renault of now Tyrrell. Now that would be pretty bad. It's not been a good race for Willows, and now Tyrrell is right behind Willows, being on the fresher tyres. He's now going to make a move on the inside. Willows not going to make it easy for him. He moves to the inside. Is there? Oh, and there was contact, I think, as well, but now Tyrrell has made it through up into 11th place. The gap to Jones is 11.7, so he's not going to close that gap in time for now Tyrrell, so he's going to miss out on points just once again. But there was the knock there. They were lucky not to damage each other's cars there. They got away with it, but whew, that was a very, very close encounter. But you can see there was the contact there. Willows, unfortunately, just not his race. He'll want to forget about this one and get on the next flight to Brazil ASAP. So he loses the position. He's now down to P12. Now here we are on the final lap of this race. Now this is Jay McKenzie, who has utterly dominated this race once again. I mean, we've said that for both him and Nella so many times this season, because Mercedes have well and truly dominated this season. There's no other way of putting it, really, as he's now coming down the back straight for the 55th and the final time, as there is the Red Bull of, I believe that is that Nicholas Gal or is that Renault Morton? I'm not sure actually. Well, I'm not sure who it is in front. I think it could be actually Moitin and Carr, I think, possibly. Not entirely sure. But anyway, that doesn't matter, as McKenzie is coming through the support pits for the final time. As I said, he's been very, very dominant this race, that is for sure. I mean, there's been really much no one to challenge him, really. I mean, Carr obviously dropped down behind Volker, then Volker had obviously this incident with Glazebrook, and so they've just been holding each other up, and that's allowed McKenzie an absolute free rein at the front of the field. So the big thing is, obviously, McKenzie is set to take the lead from Will Nella back, because, I mean, even though Nella is running in third, I don't think he's got the gap to Carr and Moitin for, well, the gap of 25 seconds he needs for P3. So I'll be interested to see what it is at the end of the race. So as we're looking at Jay McKenzie coming around the final couple of corners, he comes round the penultimate corner, now comes round the final corner, and Jay McKenzie has utterly dominated this race, and it's very important for him. He wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and the title will go down to the wire in Brazil. Well done to McKenzie for winning that race. So he comes across the line in first, Frankie Gamma in 15th, Glazebrook in 16th. Franco Lopez will come across the line in P6, so he will have the gap definitely for Nella ahead of Lopez. Roberto Gamma in, unfortunately, well, it doesn't matter for him because he's got a seat for next season, but another disappointing race for him. He comes across the line in last, actually, as a matter of fact, in P17. So there we go. That's his race over. Milos Gal comes across the line in 7th place, so a decent recovery from him, I have to say. He'll be pretty happy with that. Bartis Kloss will take 8th position. He'll be pretty pleased with that as well. He's recovered well. He's generally had a good race. What am I saying? He's had a very good race overall, Kloss, so he'll be very happy to take 8th and some good points. Mocho will come across the line in 9th position, which he just has across the line. So there we go. That's Mocho in 9th. There he is. Florian Volker will take a very fantastic P2. Another brilliant race from the German. Definitely improved in these last few races. Etienne Jones is going to take the last point spot for Manor in 10th position. The gap was down to Now Turner at the end, but as Now Turner comes across the finish line now, so a few more laps and Now Turner probably would have had him, but only 55 laps, gap down to 6.6. Willow's not the race he would have wanted. It comes across the line in P12, and there's the gap, Nella to Carr. It's nearly 20 seconds. That's not enough, so he's going to drop behind Carr, and then it'll drop behind Moitin as well, because that's not 25 seconds either. So it looks like Nella's going to come across the line in P5, as we look at the manner of Pascali coming across the line in P13, and there is Carr coming across the line in 4th position, and there is Moitin. So I think Nella is going to finish in 5th, as McKenzie actually sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:44.314. So that was a long race. So let's take a look at the race results. So McKenzie in first, Florian Volker second, Carr and Moitin do move up ahead of Nella into 3rd and 4th places respectively. So Nella down to 5th, Franco Lopez in 6th, Miguelos Gao in 7th, Bartis Kloss 8th, Michael Mocho 9th, and Etienne Jones completing the points in 10th for Manor. Thierry Now Tiernan in 11th position for Renault. The rest of the order: 12th is Joseph Willows, a race to forget for him, 13th Pascali, 14th Quag, 15th Gamma, 16th Glazebrook, all with penalties, and Roberto Gamma last 17th with just 2 laps down. I think 4 penalties during a race. I don't think we've ever had that many in a race before, with Riccian, Marta, Greenwood, Gomez and Byrne not finishing this race. I'm pretty sure that's the most penalties we've ever had in a race, I think. And the Drivers' Championship, McKenzie does move ahead of Nella by 8 points going into Brazil. That is going to be one unbelievable race. I'm so looking forward to it already. Mingus Gal and Carr 3rd and 4th, Franco Lopez 5th, Willers 6th, Riccian 7th, Volker 8th, Quag 9th, Marta 10th, Moitin moving up to 11th, Frank Gambit in 12th, Gabriel 13th, Byrne 14th, Glazer 15th, Ionescu, Pascali, Mocho, Kloss moving ahead of Jones, Berta Gamba, Thierry Now Turner in 22nd, and in last position is David Green, Renault 1 point. So that is the Drivers' Championship, and now we'll take a look at the Constructor standings after after what was a pretty entertaining Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I have to say, in game in the OC, they always seem to be more entertaining than real life, much more entertaining than real life. Mercedes, of course, win the constructors. Red Bull wins second. I wouldn't say they've got it. They've probably just about got it secured, I'd say. Force India in third, not quite secured ahead. Ferrari in fourth. Williams in fifth. McLaren sixth. Haas seventh. Taurus eighth. Manor ninth. Sauber in 10th, and Renault last in 11th. That was a long race. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you for the final round, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. Don't forget to, as usual, vote for your driver of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in Brazil for the final round, the 21st and final round of the season. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you there.